Hi, this is the podcast Open Minded. My name is Roberto,
My name is Alejandro.
and today we're going to talk about the madness of COVID-19.
So we've seen recently the rapid spread of this virus and its effects, and seeing the amount of people who are infected by the virus, and many people who are dying every day. And we've seen other effects in the supermarket and stores where people are going on a rampage, stocking up on toilet paper and food, and leaving others without the opportunity to get their groceries too. We've seen it in old people. We've seen now stores change their policies in order to allow older people and people with disabilities to 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 come to the stores or supermarkets to get their groceries first. And we've seen the kids and the students in Florida who prefer to continue partying, and even though this whole situation with the virus is going on. And the problem is that it could increase the proliferation of this virus and continue to spread from person to person. And we've also seen misinformation from media. People don't really know where to get the correct information, and well, one of the only things available that they are aware of is news channels. So they end up going to that and don't really know exactly what's going on, and it's causing more fear. So
Yeah, like at least for like the kids in Florida, like I do somewhat understand them because at first I sort of felt like them. I'm not much of a party person or sort of that. I tend to like stick to myself and like just my family members and stuff. So yeah, like pretty much how I saw it was, oh, I work out, I'm healthy. Like it's not gonna affect me because at least from the information I had at the time was like, oh, it's only a 2% death rate. I forgot from where exactly I got it from, but yeah, I saw that it was only a 2% death rate, and I know the flu kills a lot more people. It just the only like the difference between it is that um, the flu doesn't spread as fast as the COVID-19.
well, the flu, it's a similar way of transmission through sneezing, through
Mm-hmm.
coughing. But the thing is that the flu has been has existed for a long time. The
Mm-hmm.
This virus, it's a different strain. There's been three different MERS and SARS, but this is a different strain. It's a The virus is slightly different, and well, from what we know of it, uh, it uh, it came to existence like 2 months before December. So it won in China. So we obviously think, well, it's obviously not as bad as the flu because it hasn't been going on for a long time. So that's why we see it like that. But I've seen many charts where it has the coronavirus as like the third most lethal virus. And
Mm-hmm.
so
And then like at least with the information I had too, it was that it only affected young kids and the older
well
people too.
well the thing is that, like, when you're old, uh, you don't have the same capabilities as a young person.
Mm-hmm.
And I
Your
mean,
immune
if
system is not the same.
yeah, and if you're an infant or a child, your bodily systems are still developing.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, there's other factors. It's not just you being healthy.
Mm-hmm.
uh you could have a genetic respiratory disorder, cardiovascular um disabilities, diabetes. The list goes on. But it's not just old people, because
Mm-hmm.
I've heard that there's been more cases the cases and people around 40 have been rising. So
Yeah, because well, yeah, like of course, if you have diabetes and all stuff, like I could be, I don't know, I'm like 20, I'm 27 right now, right? Um, and let's say if I have like diabetes or some other problems, of course it's gonna affect me way more because my immune system is weaker. But like how I see it is, yeah, I'm young. I don't have um, any disabilities or disorders that I
but
know
but the
of.
thing is that diabetes, it's not directly correlated with your immune system. Diabetes, it's more like a cardiovascular. It's not. But like obviously, if you have a weak immune system, you're not gonna really be able to fight back against this virus.
Mm-hmm.
But um, diabetes is just a cardiovascular disease. So it affects you in that way. But
Mm-hmm.
yeah, but the problem is that yeah, the misinformation. I feel there's a lot of people getting misinformation because I mean the news the news gets their information on the viruses and diseases and bacteria. They get their information from the CDC, and they changed the way it's written,
Mm-hmm.
so it could appear more alarming, more appealing to their audience.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why I don't know where like this fear came out of, oh, like I have to get toilet paper. I have to get toilet paper because it's gonna run out. Um, and I mean it's pretty weird because it's toilet paper. It's not like if you're going for chicken or bread or cereal.
Or disinfecting wipes or something. That would actually help out
Well,
more.
it was more at the same time, but it seems like there's a higher demand for toilet paper.
Mm-hmm.
Like I've gone to Target recently and there's the aisles of
None at
toilet
all.
paper. It's empty. So
And like that one time that we went there early in the morning, they brought out a pallet. They're bringing out a pallet and just giving out that or whatever they have in stock. And because yeah, I don't know, I'm not sure what exactly they're doing, but probably they're rationing it out too.
well, they're also trying to control the crowd of people because um now they're just allowing one pack of toilet paper per
Mm-hmm.
person. So
Yeah, like
it's
to.
also to control the people
Mm-hmm.
because um, when this was when it was recently starting, there was people that they were fighting over the toilet paper. I've seen
Mm-hmm.
videos where um, uh, maybe like a woman in her early 50s or late 40s, she was trying to snatch a pack of toilet paper away from a senior citizen.
Mm-hmm. And then yeah, like I think it's this sort of reminds me of how they handled like Black Friday. I don't know if you remember like when it's pretty much like when I was in middle school. That's when I remember Black Friday started, or just like I got interested in it. I'm like I didn't really care about it like earlier on, but I remember like at least from what I remember, like how Black Friday started was pretty much they'll just open the doors and like people will rush in and there was stories about people like stampeding like other people on the floor, like I say they couldn't walk or run fast enough and people would just walk over him.
Yeah.
And like if you see like now like they're like the way that I see that they're controlling it now is by having like periods of time, right? They'll have like let's say from 8 to 9 or whatever it is. They'll have this TV on special and then they'll have that on special and then pretty much everything else throughout the day so they could like spread out the people. And like if you see now like nowadays when you go Black Friday shopping, it's like I think it's not as thrilling as it was before too. But
One
yeah.
one oh now you have cyber Monday. So
just to spread out like the people from like coming into the stores. And I feel like it's sort of the same way now. Now they're learning how to control the crowd and yeah, freaking just handing out things at certain times or um yeah, and then like helping out like the more needy people like I'm not saying it like in a bad way like needy but like the people who need more help like elderly like I think they have a certain time. I'm not sure what
yeah,
exactly it is.
that's what I said. That they
Mm-hmm.
open early, like an
Mm-hmm.
hour early, like around 7.
Yeah, just for them, and they only allow them because of course they can't like they can't rush into the store like us. We could just freaking run in there and grab the toilet paper or grab whatever we need and then just run out. Like, of course, they need their extra time just to walk to that certain item and get it. And then, especially if it's only them and they don't really have help, I think it's much harder for them. Yeah, and then at least like yeah, I'm pretty sure it is just because of like the misinformation. Like people are like, oh well, like my immune system is fine. I'm like, it won't affect me. Like, yeah, it might not affect you, but you're still a carrier of the virus.
Mm-hmm.
And like, let's say if you're strong enough, but let's say your roommate or your family members, like they have, like yeah, like respiratory problems or whatever it is that makes their immune system weaker. Like, of course, it'll affect them way more.
Well, yeah, so they don't understand that.
Mm-hmm.
Well, also in the beginning, it was more like the media were saying, oh, like it's affecting more the older
Mm-hmm.
people, and like the younger people, they could get sick, but it won't affect them as much. But the thing is that, yeah, well, if you're infected by the virus, you're a carrier, so you could still spread the disease. I
Mm-hmm.
mean the virus from, well, from person to person, and um, that's why they're still continuing with their normal lives. Well, recently they ordered the bars and theaters and areas like those to temporarily close.
Mm-hmm.
But the thing is that, yeah, you still have those people in Florida, those students in Florida that don't want to do
Yeah,
anything.
they're in their summer break,
Yeah.
vacation, and
No, it's spring break.
spring break. Yeah.
And the thing is that, yeah, like there's like in the beach. I've seen videos where there's many people on the beach and they're just in big groups continuing. They're
Mm-hmm.
just continuing with their normal life. And yeah, like we've seen in Italy, they recently they announced that there's been more deaths than in China. So,
Mm-hmm.
and the things that like they've already taken serious orders to quarantine everyone. It's like
Yeah.
everyone's in their house, and yeah, you, I mean, you have that happening, and you still have these people just,
Just recklessly,
yeah.
just partying or just going on with their like plans
Mm-hmm.
because I don't know they're not willing to change it and they prefer having fun over being healthy or keeping other people healthy.
Well, the thing is that also, what people don't understand that there could be serious residual effects. It's like, I mean, just like think about it. If you get this virus, you're gonna be in the hospital for a while.
Mm-hmm.
You're gonna be incubated in the hospital for a while. So just think, there's a virus being in your body for a long time, and it just constantly feeding off your body. It could cause serious residual effects. Like once you get the virus, your respiratory system
Might not be the
yeah,
same afterwards.
yeah. So that's what people also have to take into consideration, that yeah, you might, you almost like, if you're young, you almost likely overcome this virus. But the real question is that if you're gonna have residual effects.
Mm-hmm.
So because I mean like it causes pneumonia, and yeah, like once you get pneumonia, it's like once like the inside of your lungs are already infected. So
Mm-hmm. So you're pretty much like screwed
yeah.
then.
So like you're not like 100% immune to its effects. So
Mm-hmm. Yeah, there's still gonna be like, yeah, like let's say you won't die from it, but yeah, there's gonna be leftover things. Like let's say if you like if you, let's say if you fractured your wrist or something, right? You fractured a wrist. Like yeah, you didn't break it, but you have a fracture, and let's say the years go on, and you still have this like pain on your wrist because of it. I was like,
yeah.
yeah, you didn't break it, but you fractured it, and it's not the same. I don't know if I'm giving a right
Well,
like
it's just
explanation, but
you're just gonna get you're gonna have residual effects. So
mm-hmm.
it just affects that the the virus would cause that remain
Mm-hmm.
even after it's already cured. So yeah, like that's like yeah, that's a problem that yeah, the misinformation. And I recently shared screenshots and a link to the CDC,
Mm-hmm.
and I've seen like I don't know if many people haven't seen it, but I've seen that like it hasn't gotten as much attention as it should.
Mm-hmm.
And like I have family members from Mexico that they're very worried,
Mm-hmm.
and they've contacted me just to yeah, just so I could inform them and just give them a proper link so they could
Mm-hmm.
get they could get the right information.
Yeah, and then if you see like yeah, you're studying to become a nurse, or I don't know exactly what it is.
Yeah.
But you're studying to become a nurse or something along those lines, and of course you're knowledgeable. So it's a good thing going to somebody like that would know more things. It'll know like you're better informed, or you know how to actually read the things
Mm-hmm.
on there. So yeah, like that's like most of the videos that we have. You're more informed about all this too. Like you're more informed about like bacterias, viruses, and or just health in general.
Yeah. Well, the thing is that many times we just don't understand it, and
Mm-hmm.
we just we just stay that way, and
Mm-hmm.
we don't like. For example, if we would go to the doctor, we wouldn't go ask the doctor, oh, so like what's going on,
Mm-hmm.
because I mean, you probably accept that you won't understand it,
Mm-hmm.
but the doctor could simplify it to a point where like you could understand it,
Mm-hmm.
even though it might be too scientific or too complex. He could just simplify it to what to that way that you'd
Mm-hmm.
be able to understand it. So, but yeah, I see, like, because I mean, most of us watch the news because it's a easier way. Uh, we just go on Google and search up information.
Yeah, because it's available way easier than just going out of your way and just
Yeah,
researching it.
it's more
Convenient.
convenient. So, um, but the thing is that most of the information
Mm-hmm.
it's not true. It's forged in a different way that it would bring more attention to their news channel or the newspaper
Mm-hmm.
or their website.
Yeah, it's like, let's say if I read a book, right? I read a book and I try to tell you what the book is about.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it's gonna have missing information
Yeah.
because it's just what I understood or what I remember. I That's why, like, in news, like, yeah, they try to inform people about things, but they'll do it in their own way.
Yeah.
And, like, of course, like, it's a business. Like, if they could bring more attention to them, then that means more money towards the business. And yeah, like, some of them, like, I remember seeing this thing that they were talking about, that the American news, like, I don't know, programs or whatever it is, or channels, they use more scare tactics
Mm-hmm.
to scare the people. It's probably because of the short attention span. I'm not sure that Americans have, but yeah, like, if you see in other places, like, in other places, they tend to be more informed, and the news is way different because, right, at least right here, we want it to be more entertaining.
Yeah. Well, that's what. Well, I I I've been recently watching the news channels from Mexico, and yeah, they've also right here they brought in professionals, but when it comes to the information about the virus, they've brought in professionals to talk about the virus.
Mm-hmm.
It's not a news reporter reporting about the
Mm-hmm.
virus.
Like a
It's
professional
yeah,
talking about it.
it's a doctor, a pathologist, experts in that field that explain what's happening. It's not just them creating a title and the reporter explaining what's happening.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I've seen an yeah. Well, the CDC is what's in charge of researching about upcoming viruses and diseases which the U.S. uses, so they could warn people and just provide information on this.
Mm-hmm.
And the thing is that like all these channels are getting their information from there, from the CDC. And well, like the CDC, well, now websites you could easily just translate it. There's options where you could translate it into Spanish, English, French,
Mm-hmm.
Chinese. It's so many languages you could translate it into. So, but I don't know. I guess people find it more convenient to watch the news instead of getting their information from actual credible
Sources. Mm-hmm.
sources. So, and that's why yeah we've seen this, just like out of nowhere, just like rapid fear of this virus. I've seen pictures of people taping plastic bags around their bodies because they don't want to get the virus, and like I've seen people who are wearing just this normal cloth
Yeah, like, let's say, like,
cloth mouth cover.
the surgery cover
Yeah,
mask thingy. And some of them, like, you remember when we went to for less, they weren't even wearing it right. Like,
yeah.
their nose was exposed.
Well, the thing is that those it's doesn't go around, so like
Mm-hmm.
it doesn't cover your mouth and like the sides. So like
Mm-hmm. Like, it doesn't do a proper seal.
yeah, so like the thing is that I've seen many where it's just like it covers the top and the bottom, but
The sides
the
are
sides
exposed.
like yeah it's exposed, so like there could be viruses going through, and like
Mm-hmm.
I've heard a podcast with experts in pathology, and they were saying how those like really don't work at all. It's
Mm-hmm.
I mean unless if you're sick, but I mean if you're sick and you're coughing, it could escape through the sides. So
Mm-hmm.
but yeah, like it's more like it lessens the amount the spreading if
Mm-hmm.
you're infected. But I mean, if you're trying to protect yourself, it doesn't work. If you're trying to protect yourself, it's more like that round mouth cover that covers the sides and the top. So.
Mm-hmm. Like the ones with, like, the rubber or plastic seals.
Mm-hmm. So.
Like, those ones are the ones that work more. Yeah, because, like, at least those masks that we're talking about, it prevents you from spreading a virus as much. Like,
Mm-hmm.
it's like, yeah, like what you said, there's still some leakage
Mm-hmm.
on them, and yeah, like it prevents you from spreading it as much. But and then like it doesn't really protect you too.
Yeah.
So it's
So
like I don't know. It's like a I don't know, like a double-edged sword. I think in a way. I don't know if you could say
well,
it that way, but
just people just are trying to they're trying to protect themselves, and the thing is that there's very few supplies. I've heard that in hospitals.
mm-hmm.
There's well, when in New York, I saw in the New York Times that they're very low on supplies, and there's doctors and nurses reusing mouth covers
Mm-hmm.
and latex gloves. So
He's a I'm pretty sure like well I heard that like in order to keep a hospital well stocked up it's way too expensive to do that. So so yeah, so like they keep it as like let's say at a minimal like I don't know like minimal stockage or
well,
they
well
keep it stocked minimally.
the thing is that also we're not allocating as much funds as we should on in the hospitals or clinics. So we have very few supplies, and I've
Mm-hmm.
seen that well, the U.S. isn't really producing most of their medical supplies like antibiotics, mouth covers, latex gloves, all those supplies.
Yeah, we get them from somewhere
Yeah,
else.
we get them from China, and the thing is that right now, what China is being significantly affected.
Mm-hmm.
So they're obviously gonna have to um, most of their supplies they're gonna have to leave it in their country.
Mm-hmm.
And the thing is that if this virus is it's coming down in China, but if like it started in China, like there's gonna be many sick people, so there's less people working.
Mm-hmm.
So how are you gonna increase the production of the supplies if this country's being affected? Like you're gonna have to maybe later it might change where the U.S. might begin to produce their own supplies in their country, so they wouldn't be as affected as we are right now, where the hospitals have a scarcity in supplies. So
Mm-hmm. No, and then I heard that supposedly all those like let's say like the mask manufacturing companies are running at capacity, and then like since they're used to just like yeah like the hospitals like there's not fully stocked up, they're not used to running as like let's say with this workload that they're doing right now, and like let's say like yeah like you have less people working too. You have less people working, and you want to run at capacity, and since you don't have that much since you don't have that much employees not working because they're scared of the virus or they're sick of it, they're sick with it, like it'll be really hard just to run or just manufacture more than what you actually need right now in order to like yeah like in order to ship it to places that actually need it.
well, yeah, and another problem is that well, it's probably like this in every state in the U.S., but
Mm-hmm.
schools are being canceled, so classes are being canceled, and one thing they've been saying is that like what's happening to these doctors and nurses whose children are being released home,
Mm-hmm.
and what if in that family both people work?
Mm-hmm.
Um, I mean, if the mother or the father is working in the hospital, how is he or she gonna look after that child?
Mm-hmm.
And like, what if the father or mother is working somewhere else and doesn't necessarily have to be in the hospital? Like what's gonna happen? Like and like
Yeah.
they don't they're not. I mean, they're not being they don't have a daycare. They don't have a care person provided for them.
Mm-hmm.
So
Like yeah like and it's the same thing with like low income families too. They, let's say, in order to provide for their family, and like both of them have to work, and then now that they're not now that like their kids are home, like probably somebody has to leave their job,
Right.
and yeah, like it's pretty much the same problem. Like it's affecting all of us from like, let's say, like middle class to low to, I'm pretty sure, the high
It's
class and
affecting
everybody.
everyone.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, it's
And then the thing is too, like a lot of low income families use the schools in order to get free lunch too. Like now, at least in the city that we live in, I think they're, I don't know if it's everywhere or
it's
some
in
places,
many schools. They're opening those schools to
to
just
provide free
yeah,
lunches
to
for the
provide free
kids.
lunches and give food packages to families.
Mm-hmm. It's like I remember driving from the store. There was this. I think they were in front of your old high school. They were in front of your old high school, handing out like bags of probably food or supplies to like the people that need it. And yeah, I'm pretty sure some people are gonna take advantage of that too. That's why, like, me personally, I'm like, yeah, I wouldn't really stop. I'm like, at least right now, we don't we don't need it. But if like later on, if we do, I'm like, of course, I'm gonna go take the help.
Oh, yeah, but
Yeah, because like at least the people that need it more, I'm like, oh, of course, they're the disabled, the elderly, and all that stuff.
we're just low income families who,
Mm-hmm.
because there's also people who have been temporarily laid off or actually laid off because
Mm-hmm.
for the reason that um their business is was affected by the virus because like that business is probably they're more exposed to people to
Mm-hmm.
many sorts of people, so yeah, they don't have a constant flow of income for that reason.
Mm-hmm.
So
And then, yeah, like the thing is too. I'm pretty sure you remember at. I think I told you about this, like this study that I saw that supposedly a lot of, or the majority of Americans, like they have like they don't have a savings. And then like at least with this, it's gonna affect them a lot more too, because I think the average or the minimum that people tend to have saved up is up to like 200, which is not a lot. Like that won't get you through, like at least with like a family, it won't get you through like a month. And then
yeah,
yeah, like at least those people probably will use this to learn, and well, of course they're gonna learn from it, or hopefully, um, and yeah, start saving more, not spend as much with like unnecessary things, just to have like a, like, since you don't have an income currently, and like you can use that money in order to do that.
yeah, and the thing is that like this has affected like many different areas of just the world. It's
Mm-hmm.
affected sports. It's possible that they might suspend the Olympics. They might postpone it.
Mm-hmm.
And the thing is that on the Olympics, it's a lot of money being invested, and
Onto those places.
yeah, and onto the events and just the construction.
Mm-hmm.
And well, at the moment, they haven't announced. There's many, I think, international organizations that have suggested canceling it because, I mean, just think about it. You have these athletes. I mean, you can't train over. You can't be in a group of like 10 plus people.
Mm-hmm.
So like, how these international teams gonna train if like also the gymnasiums are closed. So
Mm-hmm.
like going into Olympics, it's like less than 4 months away.
Mm-hmm.
Like these athletes are not gonna go. They're not gonna
They're gonna perform at
yeah
their best.
in full capacity. So at the same moment, like what's the point? What's the point of wanting to uh, just possibly get through this virus and continue with the event if like your athletes are not gonna be the way you want them to be like.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, and we've seen there's been many events canceled, sports leagues canceled.
Mm-hmm.
The Formula One recently got canceled. So
Yeah, like, and then like at least one thing that I was looking forward to was the Renaissance Fair too.
mhm.
Like it's just like group gatherings. Like yeah, like I was looking forward to the Renaissance Fair. I'm like I wanted to dress up too. It's a really it's fun. Like and of course like you don't do it like throughout the whole year.
Mhm.
And yeah, of course that was canceled. And like let's say the people that enjoy going to Disneyland, like I know there's a lot of people that would just pretty much every weekend they'll go to Disneyland, and now that's canceled. So what are they gonna do now?
Yeah, and the thing is that um yeah, you're locking in these people and you're telling them to, well, yeah, it makes sense, but the thing is that if these people are locked in their home, but they're experiencing a lot of stress. So, and like one of the suggestions is experiencing less stress. Um, just I mean, if you exercise, continue exercising
Mm-hmm.
and getting more sleep. But the thing is that it's really hard, and especially for people like don't have their own workout equipment
Or
or
they don't have enough space too.
yeah, and like I mean, how are these people gonna sleep if they're constantly stressing because all they hear in the news is that
Mm-hmm.
um like oh like now it's at like 10,000 people who are
Mm-hmm.
dying. It's like who knows how many thousands who are infected.
Mm-hmm.
It's good to know the information, but it's like it depends how the information is provided, how
Mm-hmm.
it's put forth to people, because urbanized is just gonna constantly cause fear, and that's when these people get out of control. Like we've
Mm-hmm.
seen recently, people going to gun stores and buying guns, buying ammunition,
Mm-hmm.
just like in case of like someone breaks in their home just to steal their food or their supplies for the virus, and in
Mm-hmm.
case that we go into a full lockdown. So
Yeah, like I think that's one of my fears too. Like somebody breaking into my house, because like of course if somebody breaks in, like if like I am gonna be the first one defending you guys.
well, it depends. It's not necessarily.
No, I know, but like if it comes up to it, like I'm gonna be the one defending you guys. I'm like, that's why at least I'm not gonna say that I'm gonna use what I have. Like, yeah, I have a I have a bow. I have a bow, and of course like the knives that I've made like from last year, because last year I was into making knives. I'm thinking of going back into it. And yeah, like of course I have sharpened them and polished them just in case too. Like because that is one of my fears. I was like, I don't want somebody to break in and yeah, do something to you guys, because you guys do matter to me.
Yeah, well, I mean, like, one, I mean, the virus isn't good, but one thing I found good out of it, it's like now, well, like, I have more time, so, um,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, I could study more. Now,
Mm-hmm.
I'm learning more calisthenics,
Mm-hmm.
so I'm doing more calisthenics because, yeah, I don't have a home gym, so
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'm learning different things.
No, but and then like some people, they don't know how to control themselves, and like yeah, like instead of being productive and learning or doing something new, they'll just constantly have it in their head. I'm like, oh, this is going on, this is going on, this is going on. How about if I lose my job? How about if I lose it? I'm like, they're just that's constantly in their heads. So yeah, like if you don't really know how to be productive, like of course you're gonna freak out. Like those people buying
Well,
guns
like
or
I wouldn't say just like seeing it as like, oh, like finally like I have this time and now like I could do what I never could.
mm-hmm,
It's yeah, I mean like it's good like you have all this time. I mean, it'll be really cool like for those people who have been planning to remodel their house and like
mm-hmm,
they have their supplies
mm-hmm,
inside. Like that's a project they could work on. I
mm-hmm,
mean like that's pretty cool.
mm-hmm.
Or you just yeah, you want to build something.
Yeah, like let's say you had something in mind and you had it, but you
Yeah.
still didn't start on it. Like of course now you could start on doing that too. Like if you see, at least with me, like I have a bit of metal, and like I've been wanting to. I have the things to make more knives, and like of course like I've been thinking of doing that. Like if the factory that I work for closes down, of course I'm gonna go and do that. I'm like, why am I gonna stay here, play video games, and or just lock myself in my room and just think?
Mm-hmm.
I was like, might as well just keep my mind and my hands like moving and doing things.
Well, at the same time, well, if you're being productive, you're distracting yourself, so you're not focusing so much on what's happening,
Mm-hmm.
and you're relieving all that stress. So,
Mm-hmm.
like it's good, yeah. Like if like since you have all this time, just being productive with your time, not
Mm-hmm.
just sitting down and just rolling up into a ball because you're
Yeah.
afraid of what might happen.
Mm-hmm.
Well, like it's life. You have to continue on, and
Mm-hmm.
um, that doesn't mean you just like end it there. Like you wait until you come out of your bedroom until everything is resolved. Like
Mm-hmm.
it's yeah, but yeah, I would suggest yeah, just I mean if you enjoy fitness, watch videos on YouTube
Mm-hmm.
and just uh yeah, do exercises at home.
Yeah.
If you have a project you've been wanting to work on,
Mm-hmm.
just work on it so you could relieve all that stress.
Mm-hmm. Get
Um,
distracted your mind from
yeah,
like thinking of
and
it.
yeah, get a good amount of sleep. I've seen many doctors recommending vitamins. There's also
Mm-hmm.
probiotics. But yeah, it's just yeah, just staying healthy, stressing less, sleeping more, and yeah, just don't stress so much. And hopefully, we learn
Mm-hmm.
from this virus, and we begin to invest more
Mm-hmm.
in in hospitals and clinics. So
Yeah, and
the
then
next time this happens, we would have more equipment in order to combat this virus, and we begin to invest more on uh, the research of in viruses and pathogens because these viruses emerge out of a sudden,
mm-hmm.
and
Yeah, and then at least appreciate now. I'm pretty sure a lot of people are gonna appreciate more the things that like the little things,
mm-hmm.
because like back then we were able to go out. We had all this freedom, and then like now, like yeah, like I'm not saying that it's all being taken away, but we should appreciate more of the things
Yeah.
that we have.
So that's the end, and yeah,
Yeah.
we talked about the viruses. We talked about the effects of this virus. People going on a rampage in supermarkets and stores to get toilet paper, misinformation, and the kids in Florida. And yeah, we hope you liked the video, and until next time.
Bye.